to love that smiling face in the early side.
I know a few cats that, talking wise, they just, nothing's happening. I mean, it's like to get a conversation or to get something going on, nothing happened. But
Bootsy Collins has been wrapped up in one controversy or another for years. Now, at 74, he has revealed his secret affairs with 9 different singers. From one of the nonstop rumors about him and Robert Trujillo, to all the talk about him getting close with James Brown.
The older guys put me in a situation where they knew JB treated me like a kid, like his son. And so I could pretty much get anything.
Then his own personal style that got people talking even more, making the rumor seem true.
And then after you get so close, you get close enough to it, it's like, what are they doing in there? And you can't wait to get in, man. It's like, whoa.
There's a lot to unwrap. Let's dive in. Bootsy's real name is William Earl Collins, but his mom always called him Bootsy. When he finally asked her why, she just said, because he looked like a Bootsy. That was it. No deep story. And he accepted it. Funny enough, that little nickname became famous all over the world, and it still makes him smile.
And there you go. You got your basic funk formula there. You can do anything you want to do with it.
Bootsy Collins didn't start his funk journey alone. He formed a band called the Pacemakers with his older brother, Phelps Catfish Collins, drummer Frankie Cash Waddy, and singer Philippe Wynne. These guys had a real bond. They loved music, they practiced hard, and their sound was full of energy. It was funky, different, and loud in the best way.
This band, when I got with my brother, it was 3 of us, guitar, bass, and the drummer. Once I locked into that, I knew.
They had no idea that everything was about to change. Then came March 1970. Something huge happened. James Brown suddenly lost most of his band because of money issues, and he needed a new group fast. That's when he discovered the Pacemakers. He hired them on the spot and renamed them the JBs. People call them the original JBs because many groups later used the same name. Even though they were with James Brown for only about 11 months, they made history. They helped record classics like Get Up, I Feel Like Being a Sex Machine, Super Bad, and Soul Power. They even made funky instrumentals like The Grunt, which other artists still sample today. But soon, rumors started flying. Some people claimed James and Bootsy had some secret affair going on behind the scenes. Others said Bootsy was kicked out because of drug use. James Brown was very strict about drugs. He warned everyone to stay clean, especially before shows.
He didn't want us to have no fun because, that would take us out of focus because the focus was him and rehearsal and shows.
But Bootsy felt like James was always picking on him. Their relationship was kind of weird, like they were secretly in love, but there was no proof of that. One day, Bootsy got fed up with Brown's policing and took LSD before a performance. Big mistake. While playing, he started hallucinating. He thought his bass turned into a snake. He didn't even remember finishing the show.
Getting tripping on LSD gave me another perspective. When I got with James Brown, like, I don't want to just wear suits. That's what we had to wear.
After the performance, James Brown was furious. He dragged Bootsy backstage and started yelling. Bootsy, still high, just laughed. He couldn't stop. Brown saw that as disrespect, and right then he told his bodyguard to throw Bootsy out of the band. After leaving James Brown, Bootsy went back to Cincinnati. He started a new band called House Guests with Catfish and other musicians like Rufus Allen and Frankie Waddy. They put out songs like Whatsoever the Dance on their own label. They even released music under a different name, The Sound of Vision. Bootsy kept creating. He wasn't giving up on funk. Later, Bootsy thought about joining the Spinners because Philippe Wynne was already singing with them. but he changed his mind. A singer named Malia Franklin, who later joined Parliament, gave him different advice. She introduced Bootsy and Catfish to George Clinton, the leader of Funkadelic. In 1972, Bootsy, Catfish, and Waddy joined Funkadelic. This group was wild. No rules, just creativity. Bootsy felt alive again. He was only 21, and the freedom of Funkadelic was exactly what he needed.
So when I hooked up with George and Parliament Funkadelic, that gave me the license to go ahead and funk till you can't funk no more, and just go as far as you can go.
At one point, they drove across the Canadian border with their cars full of smoke. George Clinton had rented a big house by a lake, and about 20 people were living there together. That's where they recorded the album America Eats Its Young. But during that trip, things took a turn. While they were in Toronto, Bootsy got arrested for having mescaline and had to spend the night in jail. That moment made him stop and think about the direction his life was heading. Over the years, people have whispered about Bootsy traveling a lot with certain male companions. Public stories say they were just friends or co-workers, but behind the scenes, some people believe the relationships may have been more personal, and that experience with George only solidified that, although nothing was ever confirmed.
Bootsy and I was riding in Toronto, and we saw a laser, midday, right, in the middle of the day, nice, right? Laser in daylight, that's a weird look. That's a thing, right?
Yes. Bootsy played bass on many Funkadelic songs and even helped write some of them. Then, in 1976, he helped start a new group called Bootsy's Rubber Band. He worked with Catfish, Frankie Waddy, and others from the P-Funk family. They released 5 albums, and the first 3 were huge hits that funk fans still love. Their 1978 album, Bootsy, Player of the Year even hit #1 on the R&B charts, with Bootzilla becoming a #1 R&B single. Bootsy wasn't just making music, he was creating a whole funky world. He wore crazy costumes and used silly fun characters like Casper the Funky Ghost and Bootzilla, the funky rock star from outer space. Because of his flashy outfits, platform boots, and wild makeup, some people started wondering about his sexuality. Some insiders claimed his stage persona was intentionally gender-bending. Others said the Bootsy character was so big and loud that it covered up who he really was, and that he might have been more fluid in his personal life. His famous space bass guitar only added to the stories. Bootsy is known as one of the greatest funk bass players ever. Over the years, he owned several custom-made bass guitars. One of the first was the original space bass, built in Warren, Michigan by a man named Larry Pless from a music store called Gus Zoppi's. It had a strong mahogany body, a maple neck, white paint, and a shiny mirrored pickguard. Bootsy even used it on the cover of his 1976 album Stretchin' Out in Bootsy's Rubber Band. Someone eventually stole it, but thankfully it was found in a pawn shop in Cincinnati and returned to him. After that, he had more custom basses made. One of the most famous is the star-shaped space bass, built in 1998 by Manny Salvador. Bootsy also partnered with several companies to make basses under his name. In 2006, he worked with Trabant to create a model called the Bootzilla. Then, in 2010, Warwick released 2 new versions, one with black stars and one with orange stars, called the Bootsy Collins Star Signature Basses.
Beyond and over the call of duty to make my funk the P-Funk. And anything you see with the Warwick name or logo, you better know that the wood is good and the quality is for sure.
Each design was loud, bold, and full of Bootsy's energy. By 1980, Bootsy started doing more solo work. He released Ultrawave and another album called Sweatband with his group Bootsy's Sweatband. Both came out under George Clinton's label, Uncle Jam Records. Bootsy also helped produce the first album for the funk group Zapp. He was always experimenting, always trying something new.
hoping we can make it better. Let's put our souls together.
Then, in 1984, Bootsy teamed up with Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads. They made a dance track called 5 Minutes, built from clips of a speech by U.S. President Ronald Reagan. Reagan had joked, "We begin bombing in 5 minutes," and Bootsy turned that line into a song. They released it under the funny name Bonzo Goes to Washington. The song was even mentioned by the punk band the Ramones. But this moment also led to something tragic. The music business started to feel like a monster for Bootsy. It wasn't just fun anymore, it became stressful. The money side got confusing, and Bootsy didn't really understand how the business worked. He said he only wanted to play music, but everything around him had changed. Around this time, he became close friends with Robert Trujillo from Metallica. Bootsy liked people who stood out and didn't follow the crowd. That friendship made people look at him even more closely. Some unofficial sources claim Bootsy may have had secret relationships with men earlier in his career, especially during the James Brown days and the early Parliament Funkadelic tours. These rumors say those relationships were private, and that his bond with Robert was just another example. None of this was ever confirmed. Over the years, Bootsy talked openly about his drug problems. For more than 2 years, he used LSD almost every day. But eventually, he realized it was destroying him.
And we would more about drugs than music, and I knew that we were going down. I knew it.
His big wake-up call came in 1984. He was riding a street bike in the woods while high, and he crashed badly, flipping over several times. The doctor told him he might never play bass again. While lying in bed for months, he had a lot of time to think. He realized the drugs weren't helping him anymore. He felt lost and wanted to find himself again. With help from his wife, Bootsy Collins, he decided to get clean. After he got sober, he went back to making music. And he came back strong. In 1988, Bootsy worked with producer Bill Laswell on the album What's Bootsy Doin', which had a fresh late 80s sound. The song Party on Plastic became a fun standout. Laswell also connected Bootsy with jazz icon Herbie Hancock, and they made the album Perfect Machine, mixing funk with electronic music and vocals from Sugarfoot of the Ohio Players. That same year, Bootsy played bass on Keith Richards' solo album Talk Is Cheap and appeared in Eazy-E's video We Want Easy. He was moving easily through funk, rock, and rap.
When I was involved, the first time I was involved was when Eazy-E did We Want Easy, and he asked me to be in the video.
In 1989, he worked with Malcolm McLaren on the album Waltz Darling, credited to McLaren and the Bootzilla Orchestra, keeping Bootsy's funky style alive. In 1990, Bootsy joined D-Light on their hit Groove Is in the Heart, even singing and appearing in the video. His rubber band became D-Light's tour band and released Jungle Bass, their first new music in 11 years. In 1992, Bootsy formed the group Hardware with Stevie Salas and Buddy Miles, releasing Third Eye Open. He also worked with Praxis on Transmutation, featuring Bernie Worrell, Buckethead, and Brian Mantia. By 1994, Bootsy formed Bootsy's new rubber band and released Blasters of the Universe, plus the live album Keepin' da Funk Alive for 1995, recorded in Tokyo. He kept the funk going strong. In 1995, he played on Axiom Funk's remake of If 6 Was 9, which appeared in Stealing Beauty. He also featured on John B's R&B track Simple Melody, introducing his sound to younger listeners. Bootsy continued experimenting by forming the Groovegrass Boys with Del McCoury, Doc Watson, and Mac Wiseman, blending funk with bluegrass and showing music could be wild and free. Bootsy stayed busy through the 2000s. In 2004, he worked on The Joker with Fatboy Slim. In 2005, he hosted a big music event called Amsterdam in New York. In 2007, he gave a graduation speech at the Art Institute of Ohio in Cincinnati. Even Saturday Night Live made jokes about his funky style. One sketch had a character acting like Bootsy in a silly, fun way. Bootsy also had a long history of giving playful and mysterious answers about his love life. Insiders think he does that on purpose to keep everyone guessing about his sexuality. That same year, Bootsy had a big idea. He wanted to open a restaurant and nightclub called Bootsy's in Cincinnati, Ohio. He imagined a fun place with great food, live music, and all the funky energy he was known for. The restaurant opened in 2008 and people were excited. It quickly became a cool spot for fans to eat and hear live shows. But behind the scenes, there were problems. The building had zoning issues, meaning the city had rules about what kinds of businesses could operate there. There were also licensing problems. Running a restaurant and a nightclub under the same roof required special approvals they didn't have. Bootsy and his team tried to fix everything, but the legal issues were too much. After only 2 years, in 2010, Bootsy's had to shut down. The dream ended sooner than expected because the paperwork and business details weren't handled properly. Bootsy's music has always been full of energy, and one of his biggest songs is Bootzilla. It came out on his 1978 album, Bootsy, Player of the Year. Fans loved it, and it made him even more famous. But behind the scenes, there was drama. The song was credited only to Bootsy, meaning he was listed as the only creator. Some people who worked with him didn't like that. They felt they helped write the song and deserved credit too. Feeling left out caused arguments and tension in the group. These kinds of problems happen a lot in the music world, and they can ruin friendships. In Bootsy's case, it hurt relationships with people he used to be very close to. Then another legal issue popped up in 2010. This time about one of his bass guitars. Bootsy worked with a company called Warwick to make a special bass called the Bootsy Collins Black Star Signature Bass. Fans loved the design, but trouble started when some people said the guitar looked too much like something someone else had already created. There were also arguments about money, like who designed what, who should get paid, and how much. Because of all this, production was paused for a while. It slowed down something that could have been a huge success. In 2010, Bootsy did something new. He started an online school called Funk University, or Funk U. He teamed up with an actor named Corey Danziger to launch it. Bootsy was the main teacher, helping students learn funk bass and understand the history behind it.
Well, James is always... But what we did, we just took it when we got with Parliament Funk. It was like, pop, bang, everybody.
Other famous bass players like Les Claypool, Michel Ndegeocello, and Victor Wooten also taught classes. The school was made for people who already played bass but wanted to learn from the best. Later in life, Bootsy faced some personal challenges, especially with his health. In January 2019, he shared some sad news. He said he could no longer perform live because his body just couldn't handle the stress anymore. He didn't give all the details, but it was clear the stage life was becoming too much. For someone who loved performing, this was a hard decision. But he didn't quit music completely. He said he would still create in the studio and help younger musicians by sharing his knowledge and experience. Sadly, by 2021, Funk University shut down. But Bootsy wasn't done giving back. In May 2023, Bootsy and his wife started a movement called Funk Not Fight. They kicked it off at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. The idea was simple: use funk music and dance to spread peace and reduce violence. They believed the power of funk could calm people down and bring communities together.
So, someone who walks in the door and they're just not having a great day, but the music is what they need, they can go upstairs into the Funk Not Fight safe space right here at Maddie's house and find that calm.
The movement grew and reached cities like Compton, Detroit, Columbus, and New York. Everywhere they went, they held events, live shows, and community talks about peace. Bootsy has become a fun part of pop culture. The Tom Tom Club mentioned him in their song Genius of Love. The Fugees name-dropped him in Rumble in the Jungle. On The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there's an episode where a character sneaks into a show pretending to be Bootsy. Another show, The Mighty Boosh, joked that Bootsy got his funky powers from an alien landing on his house. These moments show just how big his influence is. Many musicians truly respect him. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers has said Bootsy inspired him. And in the music video for Danny California, Flea even dressed like Bootsy. Tupac used a sample from Bootsy's What's a Telephone Bill in his song Stuur 8 Ballin'. Les Claypool, another well-known bass player, has also praised Bootsy as a major influence. Even after Bootsy married Patty Collins in the 1990s, rumors about his sexuality continued. Some people in gossip circles said the marriage helped quiet down the talk, but behind the scenes, his personal life remained something people in the industry whispered about.